Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Super Bowl podcast, episode number 45. We are back in the stew. I got David Arnold and Harper Hawk with me, as always. We have another special guest with us that I'm going to let the Hawkman introduce today.
The Hawkman and the stew. Look at the vocabulary. Anyways, super excited to have Sarah Edler on the podcast today. Second ever beach volleyball player we've had on. But more importantly, you need to know her nickname on the street, Eddie. People from all athletics love calling her that, and so we're going to let the world know here.
Thank you. Very excited to be here.
Yeah. Welcome on.
Well, as always, we're going to get to know her story. We're going to be able to talk about the beach volleyball season. It's been a successful one so far, but we're going to start it off with the sports segment. Just icebreaker here, as always, and we've got our host, David Arnold.
Well, I appreciate the intro, and I'm so glad that the fans would love to have me back here.
He's got his big book and
got the big board ready to roll.
Board.
So today, we're going to do another blind draft. I don't know if you guys were around the last time we did this, but basically, I'm going to be giving off cities, sports cities, that these three will have to blindly rank without knowing what's coming next. So,
we're working
number
together,
one,
right?
Yeah, let's work together here.
Okay.
It'll have good discussion, basically, they won't know what's next, so you could get stuck on number 5, being maybe not so good or maybe being really good. The point, I'm going to try to make these guys and girls lists pretty bad. So here we go.
Hey, is this just America or is it international?
You'll have to find out. I cannot answer that question.
Oh my! So that's a yes.
You better
that's
get ready.
Yes, knowing him, he's gonna put London in there or something.
All right, we ready to roll? The first city I have is Boston. Boston.
I've never been to Boston.
Me neither.
So
I want to go though.
And just to clarify, this is the best place, just sports settings, right? And that's pretty much how we're ranking
all
these.
encompassing.
Yeah. Sports teams, weather, everything.
I mean, when we're talking about sports, we have some historic pro franchises with the Celtics, with the Patriots, with the Bruins. I mean, we got
the Red Sox.
Well, I know. I'm just not. I was
a baseball hater.
I'm not a big baseball guy, but I was like, what are you? I was like, I don't know. Anyways,
I knew you were gonna diss baseball, so
I didn't intentionally diss baseball. Anyways, I think this is definitely going to be higher up in the list. That's just my initial immediate thoughts. But what are you guys thinking?
I mean, I think that it could be pretty high, but I feel like there's some more like sports hubs in the country.
Yeah, I definitely say Boston's one of the first ones I think of as far as successful.
Okay.
As far as like the teams,
right? But are we more like success or more like
whatever you guys are feeling?
Fan oriented. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
I think
well,
2.
Here's what I'll say is, it's 2 or 1 for me. I think.
2 or 1,
but
I think.
Up to you guys, obviously. But I've heard, because I haven't been there, I've heard it's a great experience to go to any game there, especially like the Red Sox in downtown. I've heard is just an amazing experience. You go to a game, there's plenty to do just in town as well. And I think it's just like sports is like their thing, whereas in LA that has a bunch of teams, they also just have other things. They have Hollywood. They have
right.
I think sports is a huge part of what Boston is. So that'd be my argument.
Very much in the culture. So you would say 1.
I'd consider it, but I can't think of every city off the top of my head, so I'm comfortable with 2.
I mean, I would say there's only a couple cities that could top it. So I think if we're trying to play safe, I think we go 2.
Go 2 for safety.
And play along at home, folks.
What?
You good with it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Play along at home. I want to see if you guys' lists are better as well. So we're locking in number 2. Write that down. Okay. Next up, South Beach, Miami. What are we thinking?
I think this could go with the argument of like there's other stuff to do in Miami.
Very true.
So,
yes,
other than sports.
I agree.
Good destination though.
Great weather. Great.
Again, haven't been. Wait, have I been? No, I don't think I've been.
I've been. It's quite pleasant.
But yeah, to your point, Miami's known for more things than their sports. In fact, I would say their sports is not as well known as other things,
right?
AKA like clubbing and partying. And,
well,
not that we do that here. I'm just saying.
What teams are there? The Heat. You got the Marlins.
You can't. What else? Can't remember any other ones, huh? Fins for the win. All right.
He's a Dolphins
Fins
fan.
up. Yeah, I heard you. Yeah.
I was wondering
Yeah.
why we were
Yeah, like
ignoring
Dolphins?
that one.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, there's just not much to remember.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Undefeated season. I wasn't around for it, but somebody was. It happened. We have record books. Anyway,
Wait, aren't you guys like the longest playoff drought win?
that is correct. Anything else?
Just thought I'd bring it
Anything
up.
else to add?
Just thought I'd bring it up.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks.
what are we feeling? I'm thinking 3 or 4.
Yeah, I feel like four
Four.
is kind of what my immediate gut was saying for all the reasons
Yeah.
we discussed.
Cool. We're going 4 then.
We got 2 and 4 locked down.
All right.
Going the odd numbers
Got
next.
the worst one and the best one still on the board.
Yeah, that's a
so
little scary.
that'll be interesting. Next up, Dallas.
So we got a Texas girl here. Austin, correct? That's where you're
But
from?
I lived in the Dallas area for like 6 years.
So what honest thoughts? You probably have the most to
I
add
don't
here.
like the Cowboys at all. So,
Okay.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Step one complete.
and when I think of like Texas and sports, I think of Austin like is the big,
Really?
yeah.
Not Houston.
'Cause,
Are you a Texan fan?
no, my family's football team is actually the Saints. So
Oh,
I didn't know that.
no
Now I
one.
do.
my
Let's go.
dad's from New Orleans. So
Who dat?
Do you know he's a pretty big Saints fan as well?
He's quite,
I think
quite,
we may have
quite a
talked about that
Saints fan.
before. I had it
Yeah.
maybe like a Saints
yeah,
shirt
I
on in the
think so.
LPC.
Yeah.
But cool. Anyways, so what are you thinking about Dallas? Like overall, like what's the sports culture like? Is it pretty toxic?
Glad I
I
picked
feel like
this
with the Cowboys, it's toxic, isn't
I
it?
agree. Like I don't want to put Dallas at 3 and surely not 1.
Whoa.
Wow.
But
And
I
this is
don't
coming
know.
from a Texan herself.
Yeah.
Right.
I like it. I hate the Cowboys, so I'm cool with playing
It's
number
just-
5.
Well, it's not just the Cowboys. We got the Mavericks. You got
Okay,
Well, yeah,
we
what
are
about they just
Mavericks.
did?
We do. We
Oh.
are Mavericks people.
But look at the worst, like, arguably one of the worst trades in NBA history. What they just did with Luka. They're at 5. Sorry, I got a little.
you got
I-
the Texas Rangers.
Hey,
So
I like the Rangers.
I just want to
already.
ask one more question before we lock this in. I'm fine with whatever you guys want to do. What's the experience like watching games there? Like, did you ever go to Rangers games growing up?
Oh, I don't even know if I did.
Yeah.
I can't confidently say I've been to a sporting event in Dallas that I remember that wasn't my own.
Fair.
So
All I'm thinking is I went to a Rangers game before they got the new stadium because they have one of the newest stadiums in baseball now, and it's fully covered. But the old one was the old Globe Life Park was it was just super cool. But it's hard to even think about putting it over Miami. Like Miami's got a good scene as well. So
I think
I'm cool going 5, but
perhaps the safe one would be 3 if we're looking at like a top to bottom good list. But honestly, I just don't like Dallas.
I'm cool with
So
it.
biased in the way.
I'm very biased. Everyone on the podcast knows I'm biased.
People,
so.
I love how people are going to rank this because you're either going to be a Cowboys fan number 1 or probably number 5. It's probably not going to be a lot in the middle. for
And
us.
again, like what we were saying, like they're known for being toxic fan bases. So, Cowboys. So, sorry, Cowboys fans. I'm letting it rip on y'all.
All right, we'll go 5.
5?
And we'll forget about the toxic Boston fans out there.
Yes.
But yeah, that's more like passion. It's not delusion like the Cowboys.
Oh, I like that.
Woo!
That's fair,
Somebody-
right?
Get 'em.
That's fair. It's
we're
not
losing
delusion.
fans
Yeah.
right now. We're losing viewers. We just lost
It-
like
it's-
4 subscribers.
Hey,
dude.
this is you gotta make a stance on the internet if you want to if you want people to see it, you got to make a stance. You can't be in the
Right.
middle. You
Yeah,
can't
this
be in the
this,
middle.
this
Yeah,
is
this
very
is a kill.
clippable. Very clippable.
Very clippable.
All right, perfect. That was a great answer. I'm glad I picked that one. Next up, how about Phoenix?
Ooh.
And I'll count Glendale. Like, the,
Well, yeah.
the area, right? Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that at 3.
We have no
I
choice,
agree.
right?
It's not a 1, but hopefully
Yep.
the next one is.
But I mean, we think about one good college and one bad college. Some good colleges in the area and to go along with
You mind
Chase
elaborating?
Field.
Yeah.
The Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't know if Cardinals are going to help us or hurt us here.
Yeah, let's just not bring them up.
The Suns got some big names, underperforming, but they got big names.
Really cool arena.
Yeah.
It is a
Downtown's
cool
awesome.
arena. Very cool arena.
I don't think
Man.
it's going to be enough to go to 1. I think we all agree it's number 3.
Number 3.
Cool.
Okay, number 3. So this next city is unanimously your number one.
Oh, no.
It's great. I know one person who's going to be happy with this. Your number one city, Detroit. Congratulations, everybody. Oh,
He
shout
baited
out
us.
Hanson.
He baited us.
Braden, if you're watching this by some shot, I thought of you.
Okay, there's an argument to be made, okay? Now, Detroit,
All right, let's go. Let's hear it.
the Detroit fan bases, right? They are as loyal as they can be. They've had some historic droughts. They've had some terrible teams. I mean, there's literally people wearing, like, what was it, the grocery bags over their head and in the Lions Stadium for, like, years. And so there's an argument to be made. Of course, I don't think this is our preferred number one, but it's doable.
It's better than Dallas.
Amen.
Fair.
Amen.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he gave us a tough one right off the bat. He
Yeah.
gave us a potential one right
Yep.
off the bat, and
Yeah.
it's hard to just toss one at one.
Hard to
and
take
say
it, right?
Everything else is gonna be worse.
for sure.
Smart man.
So how would you guys rank this, like now knowing them? We got Boston, Miami, Dallas, Phoenix, Detroit. Like unblind. How you guys have so looking back, Boston's one in your guys'
For me, it would be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Boston's for sure.
Where would Detroit be? Just out of curiosity. Does anybody dare say
I think
I consider 5.
you would consider 5. I would
Yeah.
say it's either 4
It's
or
just
5.
a unicorn,
Yeah.
but
I would say it's either 4 or 5. I would say there's an argument to be made over Miami actually, because I think they're more passionate and more loyal.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, but it's either.
where would you
4 or
rather
5.
travel out of those 5? Actually,
Yeah.
take out Phoenix.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Boston or Miami, probably, because I just haven't been there.
I'd agree with
And
that.
very different, like, experiences.
Yeah, right.
Climate, so, yeah.
Yeah, very different.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Got 'em.
Hopefully, you guys did better at home. But there's a lot
Part
of
of
good
the game.
sports towns out there, and I think we are ultimately lucky to be in Phoenix. It's a great place to be. Just
doubt.
maybe not as much success as Boston, but
Yep.
some more level-headed people compared to Dallas. So.
Less delusional here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's sports segment. Thanks to our host, Arnold. And
You forget my name there? My name's David, everybody. Thanks. Yeah.
so let's get into the beach volleyball season. You guys have had a good last couple of weeks, been knocking off top teams left and right. How would you just say this season specifically has stacked up to your previous ones? And what are your hopes moving forward as we move close to postseason?
Yeah, so my freshman year, we were really good. We were holding steady, I believe, at like number 8 all year. Had a lot of really, really high-level players, a lot of older girls that had a ton of extra eligibility from COVID, red shirts, all that. And then we got knocked out, upset by Stanford in the first round of NCAAs. Also, that year was our first year in a conference. We joined the CCSA, and it was us, TCU, Florida State, LSU, and then like South Carolina and Missouri State. And we were not projected to finish well in that. And the first day we upset TCU, and then the second day we upset LSU, and then ended up losing to TCU in the final. So had a great run into nationals, got upset by Stanford. Moving into that next year, our head coach was offered the job at ASU, so she went over there. Our assistant coach took the head coach position. Volunteer assistant came into assistant coach role. So that was a pretty smooth transition, but we lost quite a lot of players from that. And last year was definitely tough. We had a big rebuild year. We struggled a lot, pulled off a couple upsets. We beat LSU, but otherwise we were losing to a lot of people we shouldn't be losing to. And then this year we had another pretty big turnover with just who was on our team, and then we've just performed really, really well. So we're sitting at 13 right now, and 16 teams go to the NCAA tournament at the end of it, and you have your automatic qualifiers, people who win conference. We're in a super tough conference, MPSF right now, which is UCLA, USC, Stanford, Oregon, Cal, Washington, a ton of really top programs. So at that point, we're looking at a lot of at-large bids for a lot of people in our conference, and you have a
Right.
certain amount of West Coast at large, a certain amount of East Coast at
Oh, really?
large. Yeah, and the West Coast at large bids are pretty hard to get because you have all of those top 5 ranked schools on the West Coast that only one person can win that conference. So we have 2 more weekends of regular season in Hawaii where we'll play Cal twice and Hawaii once, and then we go to TCU and we play TCU and like ULM and Houston Christian, I think. So definitely need to take a couple of those to put ourselves in a good position to hopefully get to nationals again.
Exciting. When are you leaving for Hawaii? That's coming up.
Yeah, we're off this weekend, and then
Wow.
we'll leave next Thursday.
That's cool.
And you guys played in Hawaii last year
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
How's that?
Oh my
How are
gosh,
the vibes there?
It's so much fun. We go out on like Thursday, and we played Saturday, Sunday, I believe, and I think that's the same this year. And then we go back on Monday, so we get some extra time to just like hang out, and it's so beautiful. And when we go, we play their senior weekend, so we play at their facility when they typically like play on the beach. But it's really cool because they put it on ESPN because it's their senior night, so it's broadcasted. Last year for the broadcasted game, it was just pouring rain. Like it kept getting delayed, and not even necessarily because of the rain, but they couldn't get the film equipment running. So we're just like warming up in the pouring rain, and then they're like, okay, it's time. So, and then we unfortunately lost, but we had beat Hawaii the day before, so it was like a big one.
Is playing in the rain fun?
I say no.
Okay, is that like actually
it
like?
gets in your eyes.
Yeah.
The ball's heavier. It moves different.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got to.
because
Slippery.
I feel like it'd be a
Disrupt
love-hate kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Are there
there-
some sorry?
Yeah, you go.
Are there some girls who like just get excited when it's raining and get out?
I
after
feel
it?
like people don't really like rain. Some people really like wind, which I have mixed feelings with wind because at that point it's like if it's really windy, it's not even volleyball anymore. It's like who can like figure out the wind better and just like play trash ball. So
Yeah.
some people like that because they're really good at handling it. Sometimes it's good for me, sometimes it's bad for me. So
Well, also beach volleyball players. You guys were drawn to that sport with a hate of rain, right? I'm just kidding, but I mean realistically, you guys play in great weather all
yeah,
the time.
the idea is sun and
Yeah,
beach.
you guys are getting
and
away
Not
from
what you
good
imagine.
weather. Yeah.
Are those courts they right next to the football field?
At Hawaii, yes.
Yes. Okay, cool.
They are.
I got to see that this year with soccer.
Yeah.
We were on the football field for a day, and those courts are pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, enjoy that, and yeah, I've heard through the grapevine that it's a big weekend for
It
you
is
guys.
a
so,
very big weekend. We
well-
played Cal twice, and we lost to Cal a couple weeks ago, but it was super close. So
Beatable,
yeah,
winnable.
I know you mentioned kind of going back a few years even here, like the coaching change. How is that as an athlete? What does that look like for you guys? Like how is the camaraderie? I guess I'm curious, not having like that experience, what that's like and what that can do and how that transition can go smoothly.
yeah. Honestly, I think we were in the best position possible for it to go smoothly because Abra, who was our assistant coach, ended up getting the job,
Right.
and we all advocated for her a lot, and really like all of us like emailed admin and really fought for her.
It's good.
And we just in general, it was going to look different because we graduated 5 starters that were huge contributors that year.
Right.
We had a couple people transfer before and after the coaching change. So just in general with our team, it was going to look really different. But I think having our same staff and people that we trusted really helped like have some sense of normalcy moving forward.
I feel like you guys have this this ability to spread GCU's image around because you are playing these huge schools that are also big in other sports. I mean, you guys are taking on the LSUs and the TCUs of the world, and there's a lot of people, especially on the East Coast, who are like, "Who's Grand Canyon?" And
For sure.
So, are there moments where there's people saying, "Who are you guys?" And do you guys also relish in the fact that you get to go get wins with that exact title?
I think it's been really cool, like, to see our program be so competitive with those schools because a lot of them just don't know who we are. And I think even though GCU is an established beach volleyball program and has been for quite a while now, like, I think that a lot of people still, like, look at us as this, like, underdog, or it's like it's just a different like feeling, I guess, if you're LSU and you're like gearing up to play UCLA or gearing up to play GCU. And I think it's a cool opportunity for us to like continue to like put the school on the map. And I think that we've done a pretty good job of that, as well as a lot of other sports here.
I think like I remember when we were deciding schools, that was actually one of the things that we had like been able to gather from our very little interaction with the school is like, man, this school's athletic programs seem to be like up and coming, seem like they have a lot of momentum, not necessarily proven, but in that period where they are starting to rise. And I know as an athlete and as like students, like it's just so cool to be part of that culture and that environment on campus. And I think you said it really well. It's like, it's cool to go face those big schools who don't necessarily know us, don't have that. I wouldn't say they're like disrespectful, but they don't like really take us maybe as seriously as other schools.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, a connection that we have is obviously with Krista Rowan, who was one of our very first guests.
First female ever.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And a good friend and teammate of yours. Can you explain or kind of walk through the couple of years you got to play with her and, the relationship you guys built? Because I know we have some viewers that are fans of Krista Rowan. And she did a day in the life video that you were basically the main character of, if I remember correctly.
Featuring
Saw a lot of
Eddie.
Yeah. I would also consider myself a big fan of Krista. So I came in when Krista was a junior, and she was a captain, and just was immediately just incredible, and just one of those people who just like takes you under her wing. And Krista's actually, her and I started going to church together. That was kind of the beginning of my journey here. We started going to North Phoenix, and I just like growing with her, and her last 2 years here was just so cool. I just saw so much like transformation in her along with transformation in myself, and I felt like we really got to like take that step and go deeper together. And it was just really cool to experience that with her, and also like watch the impact she made on other people, because she had a huge like network on campus. Like if you knew any athletes on campus, she was probably one of them. Like everyone knows her. She worked in athletics, SAC, FCA, like all of it. And I think she just like used that network she had in such a positive way, and just impacted so many people for the Lord. And I have always looked up to that, and it was really cool to have such a close connection with someone who I was also like looking up to.
And now you kind of move into that leadership role as an upperclassman. How is that transition gone for you as a leader, whether vocally or in your play?
I think as I don't even feel like I've been here for 3 years. Like it's kind of just gone really fast. But I think this year, especially, like with Krista being gone, and she was like one of our main like Christian influencers, Christian leaders on our team. And I think it's been a cool role for me and a couple of the other girls to step into. And just like our team really prioritizes being servant-hearted and just looking out for each other and serving each other over like volleyball in general. And I think it's been a really great opportunity for me to just like spread that to the girls below me and find ways to serve my team rather than like worrying about if I'm playing or all that stuff. So it's been really cool to kind of step into that role and impact those people the way that she did. I hope I'm doing her justice.
Yeah. Well, what does that, I guess, servant leadership look like? What is that on a day-to-day? Is that, talking with some of the players, like doing Bible studies? What, like, it could be all kinds of things, I'm sure. Like, could you kind of define it? Or maybe it's ever-changing, right? But what does that look like, being a leader on a team and having that Christian faith throughout all that, right?
Yeah. I would say some of them, like, mainly consistent things we do before practice every day. We all sit in a circle and we go around and we talk like mentally, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's going on in my life. Physically, this is how I'm feeling. And that serves as a way for all of us to be able to give each other grace and know what's going on in our lives. And sometimes people have like some serious things going on, and it's a good way for them to be able to let everybody know that, and for everyone else to then be able to surround them and lift them up and just give them some grace moving forward in that practice or however long that may be. And then we always pray into practice, which is something that we started doing last year. Krista mainly led it, and then this year I've gotten to lead that along with a couple other girls on my team. So I think that that's been really nice not only to like start off our days on a good foot and get to experience that together, but also kind of show that to the girls on my team who aren't believers, and hopefully like spur some interest and plant some seeds in their lives. And then we just are very focused on the way we treat each other in general. So, and I think that everyone has really accepted the team before me mentality on our team, which has been really cool.
I love all that. I certainly don't intend to put you on the spot here, but just like everything you just said, is there like a certain conversation, certain interaction that you've had with a teammate or teammates for that matter, that like sticks out to you that you've seen the Lord work through?
Yeah. Last year, there was a girl who actually she talked to Krista and I a little bit about just like being interested, and then came to FCA once or twice. And then I remember being like outside of our apartment building last year, and she just was like asking us like what were the moments, or like just asking us our stories, like what were the moments that you like understood this, like I'm really interested but I don't know what I'm like supposed to feel. And we got to just kind of talk to her about our stories and how we felt the Lord move through our lives, and it was really special. And just that, and like a couple different times where people have asked me questions, even if it's not like a, hey, I want to know the Lord, like, how can I do that? Just like simple questions about like, hey, you said this in your prayer, like, what do you mean by that? So even that stuff, I'm like, it's just cool to get to engage in conversation with people who I know aren't super interested, but like the way they see me or other girls on my team live, it just creates some sort of question.
Totally. That's the ultimate goal. I mean, you can spit all these facts, you can go into the word and say it, but if there's no, real meaning behind it, it might not make an effect. But if you're just living your life out, you're treating them the way God would want you to treat them, they're just going to notice something's different. So keep that going. How has your prayer life grown since you've had the opportunity to pray before each practice? And I know you aren't doing it every day, but it seems like probably at least on the weekly you're leading a team prayer, which is not something that everybody would be comfortable with initially. How has that just affected your overall prayer life and your relationship with the Lord?
I think it's been super helpful because I didn't like grow up really like praying or like understanding personal relationship with the Lord, and then getting to college, and once we started doing that on my team again last year, I don't think I really led it a single time. Maybe I led it if like Crystal wasn't at practice or something, but it was like mainly her always doing it. But it was really cool for me to just like be able to take that step and be a little bit more bold in sharing it, because my freshman year, once I started kind of stepping into my faith, I was not comfortable talking about it. And I think a lot of that was because our team, like, we didn't have the stuff like the prayer, or it just wasn't like a conversation topic, and I was uncomfortable bringing it up. And just taking that step and different like opportunities to just talk about it, whether that be prayer or speaking at FCA, the collective, doing something like this, where I know that I wouldn't have been comfortable with that a year or two ago, and doing it now. And at all of our home matches, the first game, like, I pray in over the mic, and it's just been cool to like just have the Lord guide me through that, because speaking and public speaking has never been something I'm comfortable with. But just like, I think that's the first times I've really understood that like the Lord does work through people, and he can speak through people, and he doesn't call you into things because you're necessarily equipped or have all the tools, but he equips the people that he's like taking into those roles, which has been a really cool lesson.
Something I've learned in my life is that when you feel uncomfortable, but you feel like it's something, God would want you to do, when you take that step, it usually works out, and it usually pushes you and grows you. So yeah, I think that's a really cool opportunity that you have that not a lot of people do get. It's something that athletes kind of have an advantage. They get to be put in those uncomfortable positions that other what are we called? ARPs and NARPs. Whether we're in the workplace, it's not like we're praying in before work.
Right.
It's not as normal, and it's not as easy of a thing to move into your guys' day-to-day lifestyle. So keep taking advantage of that opportunity.
For sure. Yeah, just I love kind of just the posture of, man, like sometimes we're going to be called to stuff that we're not comfortable with, and more often than not, like that's the reality, is the Lord's going to call us to things that, maybe at first we're really worried about or have questions and concerns, and that's okay. Like, but the thing is that if we're obedient in those moments, if we can step out in faith, like, then we have to rely on God. Like, it has to be his strength, and we realize who we are, and we just see the Lord, I guess, work through just ways that we couldn't have imagined, like him working through us in certain ways. But it's just, it's cool to have that, I guess, the humility to accept the calling and the boldness to do it, right? Because it's, most of the time it is a stretch for us. And I feel like everybody in this room and everybody, who's a believer at some point will be called to something like that feels a little, out of character or unnormal, right? Or I guess, all these different things. But ultimately, like, that's where the Lord really uses us. I feel like in those moments where we're stretched, because then at the end of the day, we find out who we are, but most importantly, who he is in our lives.
Totally.
Yeah, when you understand who's in your corner, the one who holds all authority, power, he's all capable. It's like he can use anyone for anything. Like, nothing's impossible with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly want to hear your thoughts on FCA. Someone who's a part of that community. We got to know each other through that, and you had an opportunity to speak this past semester. So if you could walk us through what this community has meant to you. I think Chris is the one that introduced you to it, and then also what that speaking opportunity was like.
Yeah. So I actually, my freshman year, went to the collective a lot, and I didn't go to FCA until maybe like the last one. And I went with Krista, and I just realized that what I was really needing was some sort of community and being able to like hear from other people my age and just like have conversation, because that's what I was uncomfortable with. Like, I was reading my Bible, I was praying, but I wasn't having conversations about it with people. And then my sophomore year, I think I went to just about every single one. And then this past summer, I reached out to Kelly and I was like, hey, like, I think I want to serve at camp. And again, that was something I was like insanely uncomfortable with. But so I went out to camp, I served at camp, and the whole time I was just like so worried about like, am I saying the right things? Like, am I getting through to these girls? And like, we would have like huddle leader meetings afterward, and like people would like talk about like questions they were asked, or like people in their groups like saying they wanted to be saved, and like that just like wasn't happening in mine. And like a lot of my girls were super quiet. It was kind of hard to like get them to talk. And then at the end, the very last like big like worship session, they do an altar call, and I was so scared. I literally pulled Kelly outside of the auditorium just like crying, and I was like, Kelly, like, please, like, I really want at least one of my girls to like go to the altar call, like, please can you pray for me? And she prayed over me, and then none of my girls went to the altar call, and I was like super upset about it. And then I was like, wait, like, this isn't like about like if I gave the right message to them. Like, they still were here, and they had seeds planted, and they had great conversations with me about it. And even after that, like, one of the girls stayed after and talked to one of the pastors, and then I walked back with her, and she told me about like what she was feeling, and that she like had never like heard from Jesus in that way. And I was like, this is just like so cool. And it was such a cool experience for me to again learn that lesson of God doesn't call the equipped, but he equips the called. So then I got onto FCA leadership coming into last semester, and that has been super fun, and just like getting to know different people and kind of share that with them. And then I decided to speak, which again was something I was not super comfortable doing, but I was like, you know what? I think I need to. I think that the Lord is still like calling me to be more bold and share with people. And I talked a lot about my experience last year, and I had a really tough time last year just in volleyball in general, which I'll have to give some background. When I came in my freshman year, it was like a miracle to me that I got recruited to play at a school that was number 8, like that, like on no account on paper should that have happened. So it was as hard as you would imagine it to be. Like, I was at the bottom. And then moving into second semester of my freshman year, I had just like crazy medical issue, and I spent about like 18 hours in the ER on a random night and ended up in an emergency surgery that was supposed to be like very minimally invasive, and that I could have been back to playing at like the end of the week. But when they went in to do the exploratory surgery, they figured out I had a 13.5 centimeter ovarian cyst that was torsion. So it was like completely tangled and cutting off blood flow to my ovaries. So I had a surgical equivalent to a C-section, which is like a really horrific recovery process. So then I was out the rest of my second semester of my freshman year. And I think that was a really big time for me in my walk with the Lord. I bought a Bible. I just had nothing to do. I was always in my room by myself. Everyone was at practice, and I literally wasn't allowed to hold anything heavier than 5 pounds or do anything that engaged my core. And I spent a lot of time just like learning and growing and praying. And then once I went home for that summer, I don't know if I just didn't fully understand still identity and having my identity in a sport, because that time that I spent out, I really didn't struggle with missing volleyball. Like, it was just a great opportunity for me to grow. And then as soon as I got volleyball back, as soon as I got home, I just hit the ground running. I was training, I was working, I was lifting. Like, that's all I was doing. And I was so overwhelmed with like, is what I'm doing going to be enough? And I was not willing to like surrender that to the Lord, like, at all. Like, I needed that control, and I needed to be able to go back and prove that I had like made up the ground that I missed. And then I came back, and it wasn't enough, surely. And that was really hard for me, because that was the time that my sophomore year, like, again, got back plugged in, really stepped into it again.
Yep.
And outside of volleyball, I knew who God said I was, and I was so passionate about my faith. And then once I got into volleyball, I still just like, I needed control, and performance was a really big thing for me. And I had my identity in Christ outside of volleyball, but inside of volleyball, as soon as I got to practice, like, it was about like how I was doing. Yeah. And then that year I only made the travel roster for 2 trips, so I wasn't really contributing that much. And it was really, really hard, and it was something that I was like extremely like embarrassed about. Like, I did not want anybody asking me about volleyball, because I was like, I'm a sophomore and I'm not even like traveling all the time. Like, yeah. So it was really hard for me. And then I had to spend a lot of time figuring out like what that gap is. Like, how can I put my identity in Christ while I'm also playing volleyball? Mm-hmm. And it took me a long time. I'm not by any means perfect at it now, but like, to me, competing is so fun, but it's more about the people that I've met and the things that the Lord has taught me through that. And so then that's kind of what I talked about at FCA, was how that process looked of me kind of separating my identity from volleyball. And so all that to say, I went up and I talked about something in front of a bunch of people that I didn't know very well, that I was like so embarrassed about. But I was like, you know what, maybe somebody needs to hear this. Mm-hmm. And this year I think I've done a much better job, and I feel it. And I just feel like the Lord has taught me that like, I'm here at GCU for a lot more than putting like a point on the board. And I think that I've been able to make a lot of really great impacts on my team that don't necessarily have to do with volleyball. And magically through that process, I've gotten a lot better at volleyball by just removing some of that pressure off my shoulders, because my shoulders weren't meant to carry it. So
I was about to ask just that, of like, how freeing has it been when volleyball's not who you are anymore, right? It's what you do, it's not who you are. Like, how freeing has that been, that transition from when it was everything to you to now it's like a tool that honestly the Lord's using to propel you.
That's right.
Yeah. It's been extremely freeing. Like, that's my, I feel like, main message every time I get the chance to like talk about the Lord to anybody, is like, until I surrendered volleyball and surrendered my performance and just my identity to Christ, like, it was like genuinely like I was like shackled to it. Like it was who I was. And I probably would have denied it if anybody asked me if like I was only a volleyball player. I would have denied it. But of course the trial happened, and that's what I was just like bound to it. And I think just like being able to have said yes to some of those things, like FCA camp, FCA leadership, speaking, those types of things have taught me that like I was like, well, the Lord has me here for a bigger purpose than volleyball, but it was like, what is that purpose? Yeah. And it wasn't until I started taking those steps of doing things I was uncomfortable with to really like see that fruit and see like it's bigger than volleyball. Like I don't know if there's really a better way to say it, that there's just so much more. And like if I wasn't like playing volleyball at GCU has not been easy for me, but if I wasn't here, I wouldn't have met Jesus. So
I mean, I thought your quote, like, if I just about, you went to school and you're now realizing that it's not all about putting a point on the board. I think that's just such a cool quote. You might need to copyright that or something. But I think that's just something that's so relatable. I mean, I know last episode we talked to Anna Osley, who plays basketball, and same thing. As soon as she opened her hands to the Lord and said, like, let your will be done here. I'm not going to force it.
That's right.
In this lane of basketball, and I'm not going to force it in this lane of volleyball. The numbers went up, in fact, and it's pretty crazy how often we hear that in these exact seats. So thank you for giving us another example of that for our viewers, and it's a great lesson to be learned.
For sure, and I think for Christian athletes in general, it's like such an advantage to have the Lord on your side and to experience that freedom, because it allows you to come to whatever sport it may be just with a heart of gratitude, like understanding that it's a gift, that it's not meant to define you and consume you. It's a gift that the Lord has given to us to enjoy, to compete in. We should want to win and compete, but most importantly, he's given it to us as a platform to reach others. And so like when you have that mindset and perspective going into sport, man, it's so much bigger than scoring. It's so much bigger than like individual successes, because you now have a sense of impact and significance, because the Lord can use it in mighty ways. I love it.
So how would you, like, I'm sure there's people watching and even in our own lives, right, that things come up that maybe people are at a point right now where they're realizing maybe something else is their volleyball, right? Like that's their identity right now. I know it can be work, it can be a lot of different things, family, even really good things, right? But what would you say to that person and who maybe wants to put the Lord first and surrender that up, but is having a difficult time? What is kind of the steps you took and the ways kind of you were able to be successful in that?
I think something really big for me was just like removing expectations, because kind of like I talked about how I was like almost like embarrassed of what my performance was, is like, why is it so important to you that you perform well? Because it's one thing, like, of course, like you just said, like, we should want to win, and it's natural, like, you work so hard for something, like, you want it to go well. Yeah. But at what point do you want it to go well because you want to glorify yourself, or you want other people to, like, think a certain thing about you? And I think just, like, really understanding that before you're an athlete, before you're a student, before you're an employee, before you're even a parent, like you're a son or a daughter of Christ, and that's what defines you, and you can't like have peace in those other areas of your life until you have that personal relationship with Jesus, and until you find peace in that area, because that's what's going to carry over. Just the same way that like if you're miserable in one area of your life, and that's kind of where I was, it can bleed into other parts.
Man, so
ultimately, you're not going to, you're always aiming for the big numbers, but the people that are going to leave, that are going to be remembered, the impact that are going to be made are the people that do the other things great. And I just want you to know, like, from multiple sources within the program, within the athletic department, Eddie, what I'm hearing from Eddie is that I'm not hearing about the big games necessarily, and I know you have them, but I'm hearing about the ball of energy that you are and the leader that you are. And I know you're not doing it for the glory or to hear that compliment, but just know that makes an impact too. And it's a great reminder for young athletes because the margin is so thin to like make it to the top in any sport. So to know that you can still make an impact at any level that you're at, even if you're not making an impact on the court or in the pool, like there's always a place and there's always a reason that you're in those moments. So keep doing what you're doing, and we need more athletes like you.
Thank you. I
For sure.
appreciate that. I do think it's like a cool position for me to be in because I am naturally like, I've always been like that, like super loud. Like I just like, I have a lot of fun on the sidelines and I think it's cool. Like now that I've been a little bit more bold and people know that about me, and I've gotten the chance to have conversations about the Lord with people, and then when they see like that behavior from me, like that's what they can attribute it to. It's nothing about myself or what I'm doing. Like I have the joy of the Lord in me, and that's why I love to do it. I love to do it for the person next to me, for the Lord, and it's a cool place.
Totally.
Absolutely. I think like kind of this whole discussion's had me thinking about like, it's actually something Tim Tebow said at one point about kind of success versus significance. And so like success, he kind of defined as like all about you, right? Like go be successful financially, career-wise, whatever that looks like. Like it's great, but it's about you. But like significance, when we invite the Lord in, like we can have an impact through significance on other people. Like it almost takes us in the backseat and it puts others first. And like the significance of like, what impact are you going to leave at the end of the day? Because we're all going to leave something, right? And we can be on the Lord's team that never fades, that never goes away. We can partner with him, or naturally in the world, like people are forgotten, right? Like events come and go, people come and go, and like life rolls on, but we can be a part of a winning team here with the Lord that is never forgotten, lives that are saved that are never forgotten. They're always that is eternal change, and to be a part of that team, like we can be a part of something greater and significant. And so I think it's just a challenge and a question of like, what do you want to be? What does life look like? Do you want to be successful? And I think it's good to have a desire to be successful, right? But most importantly, being significant in that and, attributing that to others and pouring into others, I think is what really matters. And of course, following the Lord and his plan for your life.
I remember that makes me think of a conversation we had. I don't remember when it was, but we were almost playing devil's advocate with this. It's like, okay, if your goal, say, is to be remembered, right? There's a lot of different ways you can do that in this world. Like, you just listed off like a few different ways you can do that, right? But if your goal is simply to be remembered, there's only one way to do that, and that's to be a part of God's kingdom, because it's the only thing that's going to reign forever and is everlasting and is bigger than anything and everything, right? But anything that we do, like if you're the best athlete in the world now, your records are just meant to be broken. Mm-hmm. If you're the most wealthy man in the world, someone's going to surpass you. Like for any area, any discipline, you're going to get surpassed. But if you want to be remembered, there's only one way to do it. And it's almost like, what is it?
Reverse.
It's almost like you would think you got to do it your own way, but actually the way to do it is to surrender to the Lord and be part of what he's doing and his mission.
Life. Yeah.
So I think it's just cool that made me think of that.
Yeah.
So. It's a humility thing, which is one of the toughest things to do. But if you can humble yourself, and I think that speaks to your story a lot with the embarrassment of not playing as much. And that's such a normal thing across all aspects of our world, but especially in athletics. That's such a real thing to go through, and it takes humility and understanding that it's not all about that. It's about this. And I think God is the only person that can humble our hearts, because if we're looking at what's going on around this world, it's about chasing success, and the significance only comes from humility.
That's right. Love it.
All right, guys. We like to wrap each episode up just hearing what God's putting on your heart right now. And I know you probably spoke to a lot of those things throughout this episode, but as we're moving forward in this next season of your life, exciting things to come in beach volleyball, but more importantly, just life continues and more people to pour into. It seems like the more important thing for you. What's God putting on your heart right now as we wrap this episode up?
I think one of the big things for me, just this semester in general, but especially like since we started season, is just being present where I'm at. Our season is really quick and it just flies by, and it's really, really easy to kind of just like start going through the motions. And I have no idea what my future looks like. I don't know. Like, I have an extra year of eligibility from my medical red shirt. I don't know if I'm going to use it. Like, I just have a lot of uncertainty moving into the next couple of years of my life. And I'm a big planner. And as I talked about with having a lot of trouble surrendering volleyball up to the Lord, I like to control things a lot. So I think something that the Lord's really been teaching me is staying present where I'm at and finding who can I serve, what can I do, what is my purpose in this situation, and how can I impact other people for the Lord in the situation I'm in, regardless if it's something that I'm a position that I thought I would be in or that I wanted to be in. And I think just being able to really just trust the Lord with my future and where I'm at now. And a big reason I'm able to do that is looking back and seeing what he brought me out of, because every year that I've been here has not looked anything like I thought it would or wanted it to. And there's been some things that were really hard, but looking back at each year individually, it was a lot better than what I could have drawn up myself. So just being able to trust in that in each moment that I'm in, and just say, here I am, like, send me wherever, do whatever with me, because I know you're going to bring me out of it. And I know that there's bigger impacts to be made than be worried about where I'm at right now.
Let's go.
Well said.
Fire me up.
Come
on.
I had a mentor tell me once, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So, I feel like that's just a good way to put a bow on that. It's just, we all have ideas and preferences of what the future wants to be, but, ultimately he's in control. It's none of our business. What we think often is different than what he has planned for us, but he won't steer us wrong. He knows what he's doing, and he's got better plans than we could ever imagine.
Amen.
So
the human heart plans its course, but the Lord establishes its steps. I forget. It's in Proverbs somewhere. Quote me. Don't quote me. But yeah. Don't quote me. Don't quote me.
quote the Bible.
Quote the Bible. That ain't me. Anyway. But yeah. Just true that, right? Like, we can have everything lined up, have a whole future planned, and you just never know. Like, ultimately, the Lord's the one in control, and like being a part of His plan, being in His will. At the end of the day, like, there's so much peace that comes with that. I think that we've all experienced, and like, man, just asking what His will is for us, because He knows us better than we know us. And so just trusting Him with that. At the end of the day, He's going to always lead us down the right path. So
We can have certainty in our uncertainties,
Exactly.
as hard as it is. All right. Well, this is going to wrap up another awesome episode 45. Sarah, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
Good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Good luck the rest of your career here, and we're excited to see you around campus. So with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace out.